Hey, I'm John Greaves, the third of Finding Garage Gym Life, and I am joined today by the homie, Ashley Hromyak. You guys have seen her on this channel before. If you haven't, you need to treat yourself and go check out the videos. I'm going to link them to this video. I'll put them in the description, and I'll have cards going over my head periodically showing videos where Ashley is featured because she is an incredible resource. And so I'm glad you're actually able to carve out some time for us today because I got you in between clients, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to take up a whole ton of your time. Today's topic is basically believing that it is possible, and this is part of a series called Becoming the Ultimate Version of You. Um, this time of the year is typical for people to want to get, like they start doing New Year's resolutions and things like that, and they're trying to get in shape. Just drop bad habits, pick up good habits, okay? And I think that when I saw you post, you posted on Instagram, and we actually, I actually shared it here on YouTube. But you were talking about how basically you got to believe it's possible. Talk about why that's so important.
Well, first of all, thank you for having this quick conversation with me. I really, truly enjoyed talking to you. And I will say, one thing that I noticed is that, right, we're all on social media nowadays, and we cheer for and get involved with these people that we follow, we may or may not know personally, and we believe in them, and we get happy for them, whether it's, like I said, a friend, family, or something we don't even know, but we follow. And yet we don't even put that own belief or support into ourselves. And to me, that's kind of mind blowing because why wouldn't you believe in yourself when even if you're going through a rough time? I mean, like, you are your own person, you are your own energy source, and believing in yourself should be number one, right? You should always be number one. So put the same kind of energy. I think it's so important to put the same kind of energy into being proud of yourself and clapping for yourself as we do for everybody else in our life.
So one of the things I saw a quote from Kristen Lander, Dr. Kristen Lander, with Fiercely Fueled Nutrition, and she said something that I thought was really impactful. When she said, "Don't disqualify yourself before you even start." And I think that a lot of people do that because they just accept, okay, well, I'm at the point in my life where that's just not going to happen for me. Or I believe that this person who I see has something that I would like to have, that they've done it through means that I'm not willing to adopt, right? So for example, they're taking steroids and I'm not willing to take steroids. So since I can't take steroids, I'm not gonna look like that kind of thing, right? Um, what do you say to people who have that mentality, like where they just feel like, okay, well, it's just not possible for me because of XYZ reason?
Well, yes. So first of all, I say when you look at these people and you're like, wow, they achieved that, and there's no way I could. The thing is, you're not seeing is they're posting their achievements, but they are not posting their failures. And for me personally, I can speak on me. I post my successes, but if I posted all my failures, it would be twice as high because I try everything, and I try every way of accomplishing it, and 9 times out of 10 I fail at one of those pathways, but then the 10th time I succeed. So I say to people, number one, you're not seeing their failures. So you need to also be aware of you're only seeing their successes. And number two, I would say people focus so much on worrying about starting or worrying about their failures when it's like, no, you need to focus on even on the fact that you should just even try it because you don't know. You never know until you take that first step and then that second step. Because when you don't try, you miss out on experiences and opportunities that you never wish you had. And even if your endpoint was ABC and you're trying to get to D, you might deviate and go to like S and T and skip some alphabet letters right on your journey and path, and you might go somewhere you never even thought you'd get to, but it's because you took that first step that you just were like, wow, I showed up here and I'm so glad that I even tried. So I tell people, just try, just show up and give it a whirl and see where it goes. And if you fail, so what? Nobody cares because everybody is so focused on their own path and trying to do their own thing that, like, nobody's going to remember that you failed trying to get to, your dream body type. Like, nobody knows. Only you have that. And you just have to try because you will always learn by your failures, right? We don't learn by succeeding at things because if we
Right,
succeed, clearly we already know how to do it.
right,
But we learn by failing because we're like, wait, that didn't work. So let me try this way.
right. 100%. One thing I forgot to mention, if you are watching this and you have questions, go ahead and put them in the comments because we're going to come back around and we'll address those questions. I said this is an ongoing series and I'm trying to figure out ways to twist Ashley's arm to get her on here a little bit more often. So if you guys have questions, Ashley will come back and she'll answer them in the comments. But then also we're going to give you her contact information too. So if you guys want to reach out to her for coaching or anything else like that, just watch to the end of the video and you'll be able to get in touch with her and get her on your team to help you reach those goals. So let's switch into talking about setting goals. I think that the first thing, because you and I both have a military background, it's easy in a certain way to set goals because you have like, okay, well, this is my mission objective. Going back to the way they taught us classes, you know, you got your terminal learning objective, you got your enabling learning objective. Okay, so that's actually how I approach stuff like this. But one thing that I also use, I think this is more prevalent in the business world, is called a SWOT analysis. Okay, and so for those who don't know what that is, it's strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so every business does a SWOT analysis to figure out where they are. And it's like an ongoing thing, like, hey, where are we this quarter? What are some threats on the horizon? You know, whatever, that could be a competitor, it could be market pressure, a war just started, and, you know, where we normally get our supplies from, whatever, okay? And I think part of setting your goal is you have to figure out where you are. So I'm like, well, do your SWOT analysis. Okay, well, how do I look? How do I feel? How, you know, what can I do that, or what can I not do that I used to be able to do? What can I do now that I didn't used to be, that I didn't used to be able to do? You know, whatever. It's just like assess yourself and be realistic about where you are today, not last week, not back in high school, today, right now, while you're setting the goal. What do you think about that?
100%. I agree with everything you said. There's also another acronym as well. It's very similar to SWOT. It's called SMART. Have you
Okay.
heard of the, right? So it's SMART. It stands for, like, your goal has to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be something attainable, a challenge and attainable. It has like I don't remember what
Is it
R is
repeatable?
repeatable or realistic, and then
Yeah.
T is it has to be a time frame on it, right? You
Oh,
have to
yeah.
be able to
Okay.
have a measurable. And then to continue on to what you just said about like strengths and weaknesses, like for vision boards, like I'm a vision board person. I like
Yeah.
doing that. And some of the things that's really good to brainstorming if you're doing a vision board or you're just trying to set up your goals is, right. So you identify, okay, what did I fail at, or what is my weaknesses, right? Those are pretty much the same. What did I do right? Like what am I already pretty good and confident in? And then another area that I like to address is for like goals is like what irked me or made me jealous, because that is a emotion that is in response to something. So if I see someone and I get this immediate kind of like jealousy or kind of this tick, and I'm like, wait, okay, why am I responding like that? Wow, they're doing something that I want to do and I haven't done, and I do an honest
Mm.
reflection of that and be like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe okay, that's clearly something that's important to me, and I need to address that as something that maybe I want to accomplish in my goal. So I also include things that kind of, you know, give you that little tick of like twinge of not negativity, but makes you feel some type of way and be like, okay, there's a reason why I'm feeling that way and I need to address it in my goals and as I, you know, my strength or weakness, and categorize it as something along those lines.
That is so funny because I've never looked at jealousy like that, but it makes so much sense because I've yet to see somebody stub their pinky toe and be jealous. Like, man, I wish that had happened to me. You know what I mean? So it's like, nah, I'm jealous because you've got something or you're doing something that I wish I were doing or that I wish I were capable of or that I wish I had. That's pretty cool.
It's really good to really good to self-reflect on that, because that's definitely a deeper seated emotion that's in response to something that is obtainable. You just have to figure out like, okay, how can I get that for me, or why do I
Right.
want that for me?
Um, I also like the thing about being realistic about where you are today because the fact, like you said before, you said where you are isn't where you're going to be. You said that in one of our previous interviews, and that's one of the things that just popped up over my head. And I like that because just because I'm being realistic about where I am today doesn't negate what I said and what we were talking about first, where we said believe that you can get it. It's just showing you where the starting line is, right? And for me, the strengths, weaknesses thing is a big deal, because if I say, okay, well, I know, for example, I don't particularly like the taste of alcohol, so I tend not to drink alcohol. Well, alcohol is a source of empty calories. So, okay, one of my strengths is I don't have to worry about cutting out alcohol, as I'm losing weight right now as well. So I'm like, I don't have to worry about that. So that's a strength. What's a weakness? Well, I don't particularly like doing cardio. Okay, well, that's a weakness. So how do I figure out a way to work around that weakness? And I've got ways that I do it, but that's what I'm saying. It's like a strength, a weakness. I've got a young kid in the house, and you might not see that as a weak. That's a weakness and a strength in a way. So what I mean by it being a strength is now you have somebody to train for. You're like, hey, I want to be able to play with my daughter, or like in my case, I want to be able to play with my daughter for a long time. I want to have energy to play with her. A weakness is we tend to want little kids to have sweets in the house, and foods that aren't necessarily good for you, because we want them to, they're only a kid once and whatever. Well, that's temptation, right? If she
Yes.
wants pizza tonight for dinner, well, now that's pizza in the house. That's a temptation for me. So I just think it's about making an honest assessment, but not letting that assessment discourage you. It's just basically, it's like, again, it's attacking it like I'm about to go into a fight. Well, this guy's got a good jab, so that means I need to account for that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You can't plan on where you're going unless you know where you're at. You're looking at a map and you're trying to get from Virginia to Florida. Like I can't get there without being like, okay, where am I right now? So that I can figure out what roads to take. So that's 100% correct. Like you have to honestly assess, this is where I'm at. Okay. And then this is how I'm gonna get there. But you gotta know exactly where you're at and be like, even if it's not like you're in a really bad part of the roadmap, that's you have to be like, that's okay. Because that is
Yeah.
not comfort, like that is not permanent, it's temporary. That's just where I am. And as long as I take one step, I'm not there anymore, I'm somewhere else.
Yeah, and I'm not a bad person because I'm in Virginia, and I'm not a good person because I'm in Florida. You know what I mean? um, so I'm gonna come back around to the be realistic about where you are today and the goal setting, because one of the things is it's the ultimate version of you, not somebody who's on TV, not somebody who's on social media, not somebody who's even down the block, right? But at the same time, I don't mind the idea of having someone who inspires you. You like, hey, I find like the body type of the person, they're like in my general age group, and I'm like, hey, well, if they could do it, I can. I'm a competitive person. So, for example, for me, it's LL Cool J. Okay. So he's 5 years older than me. Okay. So yeah, I think he's 5 because he was like 18 when Rock the Bells, I mean when Bigger and Deffer came out, and I was like 14. So yeah, he's about 4 or 5 years older than me. So you look at how the kind of shape he's in with a hectic schedule, and I'm like, okay, that's an attainable body type. And so I tend to see, when I see him, it doesn't make me feel bad. It lets me know, hey, that's like where I'm shooting for, especially if I don't look like that. It's kind of hard to visualize the ultimate you if you don't look like that, and if you've never looked like that. So I know that some people say comparison is a thief of joy, but how do you, I mean, unless you, and you may have a better way to do it, but how do you visualize a better version of yourself if you've never seen it?
That's a good question. And you might not know the answer to that initially because you've never been there. So then I just tell people, like, well, then just picture what you want. It doesn't, like,
Hmm.
even if it's the biggest, most lofty, like, largest goal dream you've ever had, there's nothing wrong with just visualizing it, because on your path to get there, you might realize that, halfway there, you're like, wow, this is what I like. Like, this is my best look ever. And I'm really happy and
Okay.
confident here. And
Yeah.
I mean, so I just tell people, like, picture it, and then on your journey there, you'll do so much self discovery that might your endpoint might even change.
Okay. So now let's start to hit some concrete things. All right. So that was the believing you can do it and all that. All right. So we got you excited. Now I'm going to talk about some specific things that I recommend, you know what? I'm not even going to say recommend. I'm going to say some specific things that I did when I decided I was trying to get in shape, because um, my goal is I'm going to see you at Home Gym Con, and so my goal is to. It wasn't necessarily because of you being there, but I was just like, I want to look different when I get to Home Gym Con, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like the way I was moving around. I mean, I'm reasonably strong, but there's just things I wanted to change. So I mentioned that because you're going to see me. And one of the things I say is, you know, to be accountable. So when Ashley sees me, if I don't look different than the last time she saw me, she'll be like, In fact, I'm giving you permission to I don't know, we'll figure out some way to do an assessment, and you can we'll go on camera, and you can say, all right, you said you're going to do this. Like,
Yes.
what's the thing from Maury? You said you'd lose 30 pounds. Survey says that's a lie. Whatever, right? um, but so some of the things that I did was say, okay, so I said, well, what do I need to change, right? And how much change can I handle? Are those two things that you, when you're talking to your clients, are those two factors that you incorporate, or do you have them start with something else?
100%. You gotta start small. Like what you just said was so good. What can I like? Can I change it, or is this changeable? And how can I change it? And am I capable of it? Like you have to be honest and you know. I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. It's all right. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is like when I said, you know, what do I need to change? Okay, well, I need to start drinking water. Okay, I need to drink more water, and I can handle that. But I
That's it.
also
Yes.
know I can't change. I can't start drinking more water and start running more often and start, you know, like that's too much. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yes. Sorry, that was exactly it. How much change can you handle? And it's one of
Yeah.
those things. I say add one thing a week. If
Mhm.
you can add one thing a week and you can be accountable to yourself and make like, okay, every single day I made this change, then add on another one. But if you are not capable of adding 5 minutes of walking to your day every morning, you cannot build on that because you're just going to set yourself up for success. So build confidence in yourself to be able to stick to, the word to yourself when you say like, I'm going to do it January 1st. I'm walking 5 minutes every morning. Just show up for yourself and prove to yourself, wow, I did it. Your confidence will boost. You'll believe in yourself. And you'll be like, if I can do that, well, maybe I can drink some more water. So then you're like, you know what? I'm going to walk 5 minutes and drink a glass of water. And then you keep building on that. 100%. Yes.
I love that because so I say you need to start with something achievable and make sure it's something achievable in a short time. So I can start drinking water today, right?
Yeah.
So I started drinking water. It's been a few months now, but I started drinking water. And I mean, there are days when I didn't feel like doing it, but I say, hey, no, I committed because my buddy Greg Santosero um, said that one of his things is figure out who the man is. And it's not a man, just a random person. It's who's the man in terms of you, or for you, it'd be who's the woman, like that ultimate version of you. What are her habits, right? And he's like, okay, so now start adopting those habits. And we always look at getting in shape as eliminating stuff like, oh, I got to stop doing this. I got to stop doing that. When nature abhors a vacuum. So instead of stopping something, you need to replace,
Yes.
right? So instead of, I'm in the South. So instead of drinking it so much sweet tea, maybe maybe the water thing is too far. So maybe I replace it with, I don't know, BCAAs or something, because that's got flavor. Or maybe I just go with flavored water. But either way, I replaced bad. I don't know, I hate saying that something is bad in terms of a food. Maybe I replace something that's not helping me get to where I want to be with something that is going to help me get to where I want to be faster. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
That's actually, and then if you read any of the books, The Power of Now and like healthy habits and, although they all talk about yes, habit replacement.
Yeah. All right. So I say, all right, remove your obstacles and add your tools. That's what we just talked about. The final thing I say is, look, there's no magic to Monday, because I find that procrastination is the first step on the road to failure. One of the things, again, that the military taught us is it needs to be done, do it now,
Yeah.
right? There's no point in wait, in just a minute or in just a second here. No, I hate that phrase. When somebody says, oh yeah, I'm getting ready to in just a second. I hate that. Just do it. Just get up and do it. Even if you are about to do it in just a second, okay, don't tell me. Just when that time comes, just get up and go do it. Because I think that you should be decisive, because your health is one of the most important gifts you can give future you. Just there's no magic to Monday. Just start. And that's why I think you should start with something that's achievable and achievable in a short time. Makes sense?
Yes. To build on what you said, right? There's no magic to Monday. 'Cause for whatever reason, people are like, oh, I'm going to start it on Monday. Why? If today's Wednesday, why are you waiting until Monday? You're wasting time. So, John, if I asked you, if I give you the option, here's $1 million, but if you take the $1 million, you don't wake up tomorrow. Which choice do you choose?
Hold on. If you give me $1 million, I die?
Yes.
Oh no, I'd rather live.
Yeah, exactly. So you value your life and your time more than money. So then when you ask me that question, like, okay, so what is one of your top five? It's it's your time, because I gave you the option. You didn't want the $1 million because you wanted time.
Right.
Why are you wasting time? What to start on a Monday? Do it every day. Like don't waste time, because when it's gone, it's gone. We don't get it back.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I've touched on it already. And I said, be accountable to somebody. Pick out somebody who's not going to be threatened by what you're doing. Okay. And I think that that's important because especially um, sometimes in relationships, let's say you both have become accustomed to being out of shape, right? And you start getting in shape. If your significant other isn't on the same page as you, they could sabotage you because they start to feel threatened, right? Which goes back to the SWOT analysis. They start to feel threatened. They start feeling like, hey, maybe this guy's trying to replace me, or this woman's trying to replace me, or whatever. You need to create your team and ask them, hey, to me, you need to be accountable to somebody, because that's also going to help you with the food thing. If you are in one of those families where you express affection through food, like say my mom is cooking for me or something, and I get over there and I'm like, I can't eat that because I'm on a diet. I'm not talking about Thanksgiving. Eat Thanksgiving dinner, man. Just don't be that person. Eat your Thanksgiving dinner, eat your Christmas dinner. But I'm saying in general, and you're like, hey, look, I can't do that because I'm on this mission. I'm trying to do this thing. Most of the time, our family's going to support us. In fact, I found that they are like the tyrants. They're like, oh, you can't have that. Like, dang it, because I got them on my team. They're trying to help me succeed. What are some tactics that you use in terms of accountability, and just getting people, like building your support network?
Before I even have them accountability to, like, let's say, someone hires me and they need accountability for their meal plan or their training, they have to be accountable to themselves first and be
Right.
okay with acknowledging, like, yeah, my wife brought home a bunch of donuts after work, and it's her fault I didn't stick to my diet. Then I said, well, it's not your wife. Like, yes, she brought them home, but it's your choice to eat them or not. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
be honest and accountable to yourself and be like, you know what, you're right. That's on me. I chose to eat those. I take the loss on that one. I'm going to learn from it because I don't feel great about myself and my choices. I know I can do better. And then, moving forward, learn from that. So I tell people, first of all, you have to be accountable to yourself, and you have to be okay with sometimes you're a human and you make mistakes.
Good.
And then just admit that to yourself. And then once you can be comfortable with admitting your own flaws or errors that you make and be like, wow, I'm human, right?
Yeah.
That happens. Then you can work towards working with someone else to be accountable, just to kind of hold you and guide you and mentor you, because as humans we are faulty, and we do make errors, and it's sometimes it's just easier to have someone else coach us and guide us and hold us accountable, because we're like, wow, this person, like, uh, I'm gonna look for you at home gym con and be like,
Yeah.
hey, you told me you're going to do this. I'm holding you accountable. I'm going
That's
to
right.
be expecting to see change in you.
That's
Right.
right.
So then if you invest money in a coach, then now you're like, okay, I don't want to waste my time and my money, because I paid this person to make sure I'm on this path. So be accountable to yourself, and then move towards being accountable to somebody else, and respect that like it's not just, oh, I could just, fly by, because in my world, if you work with me, two strikes, you're out. Like, that's,
Right.
if you can't be honest and do the work, then go find somebody else, because I want to actually elicit change in someone.
100%. So I like to, I want to, as we close, I want to leave people with something like a tangible tool. All right. So I told you guys that I am trying to lose weight, and so I'm gonna start so I can give you a chance to be thinking of what your recommendation is, right? So one thing that helped me uh is and just for some context, I started out, I was wearing size 38 in pants. All right. Before my car wreck, I was wearing size 31. Okay. So I was wearing size 38 in pants. Now I can button 33s and 32s. Okay. Um, I probably shouldn't go dancing in 33, 32, in 32s, but I can button them up. Okay.
Okay.
So what I did as a tangible thing, because watching the scale doesn't really do it for me because that fluctuates because of sodium intake. So what I did was I went and I bought the next size of pants down. So I told you I was wearing 38s were comfortable. 36s were slightly uncomfortable. So I went and I bought a pair of size 36s. Only one pair. And I threw away all my 38s. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing, so basically I had to wear that uncomfortable pair of 36s. And you understand how much laundry that is, right? Because I'm not wearing dirty clothes.
Yeah.
So I got 36, and then every day I had to wash it to wear it the next day, right? And number one, that's annoying. And number two, it's just a reminder to continue doing the things so that 36 becomes comfortable. And as soon as 36 became comfortable, I went and bought 34s. And I threw away the 36s. Now, one thing that helped me is I was wearing because I know somebody who's like frugal is gonna hear that and they're gonna spaz out, right? So I chose American Eagle jeans because they have a recycling program. So you can take your old jeans to them and just turn them in and you'll get like credit and then
Like,
towards the
yeah.
next pair, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's part of what I did. But for me, the goal was not as important. I mean, the goal is more important than the money I'm spending on jeans, right? And so basically I worked my way down from 38s down to where I can wear 33s comfortably and 32s are slightly uncomfortable by just doing that. And it's also a good way to check because every day I put the jeans on, can I button them? Oh, they started to get tighter again. Okay, let me go back and look. How much activity did I have and all that kind of thing, right? So that's my action tip, wear one size smaller. Be okay with being a little I mean, don't go two sizes too small. One size, one size down. Okay. All right. What's your tangible tip?
My tangible tip is I feel as though there should be some kind of a reward system. So I would say on a sticky note or something where you can see it, your bathroom mirror, write down your goal and then have like a little reward underneath, whether it's like, I'm buy myself a new pair of leggings or I'm going to take myself to get, for women, maybe like a facial or manicure, like something to acknowledge your success and your wins, right? Acknowledge gives us that dopamine response when we have a reward, right? Your reward was feeling good in your pants. Find something um find a reward for yourself that makes you want to do better. And like you said, it has to be something that you visually see or feel, right? So if you stick a sticky note, for me, that's what I'm a visual person. So I have things on my bathroom mirror and I have little, rewards underneath so that I'm like, okay, I accomplished that goal. Man, I don't treat myself to facials or pedicures or all that often, but I'm really looking forward to that. So I say, yeah, have a reward system so you get that dopamine response. So you acknowledge your win, you acknowledge your success because it should be acknowledged when you accomplish something. Like give yourself a round of applause and then be like, all right, I got that. I'm like excited for the next one.
Nice. All right. So if you made it this far, you're obviously a fan of what I do. So please consider supporting the channel. There is a shopping button in the bottom corner of this video. If you click on that shopping button, you will be able to check out products from the Garage Life store, like the t-shirt I'm wearing and like the sports bra that Ashley is wearing. And both designs come in the other. So there's a Do the Work shirt, there is a garage built sports bra, and we've got a whole bunch of other home gym merch that you guys can click on. It goes a long way to supporting the channel and helping us continue to do the things that we do. You'll also see links for like the microphone that I use and things like that. But I really appreciate it. Please, if you haven't subscribed already, consider subscribing and sharing this video with someone else. Ashley, how can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you for help with coaching or anything else?
The best way to reach me is find me on Instagram at Ashley the Amazing.